Hey guys, we're here with Nigel Lamb, third place Niagara Regionals. It's your second time topping with this deck in the
Yeah,
last, what, 2 months or so?
second top with RESCUE-ACE.
Nice. So what do you think of the deck so far?
I like it. It's probably one of my favorite decks I've ever played because you can set trap cards and then you can also just combo.
Yeah, and you can use them right away too, which is kind of crazy.
Ridiculous.
Do you have any shoutouts you wanted to give?
Yeah, so shout out to the entire Council of Robina. Shout out to everyone from Niagara that went to the regional. Shout out to Thomas for lending me cards. Steve and Rayhan for testing the deck with me. And then also shout out to Dolly's Niagara. If anybody's in the area, they should go check it out. Okay, I guess I'll just get right into it. So for the engine cards, I played 3 Hydrant and 3 Airlifter, super standard. I played 3 Impulse, 1 Fire Engine. I didn't play Attacker. I think Engine is enough. You pretty much never want to draw. You're always taking the guaranteed engine rather than 2 random draws. For the big ones, I played 2 Turbulence and 2 Preventer. You can't play more than 2 of either of them because they brick in multiples. They do nothing on their own.
What do you think about shotgunning the impulse on opponent's turns?
A lot of times I'll probably shotgun it. It depends what other tech cards you have. If you draw tech cards that conflict with it, you'll hold it. But most of the time, assuming you don't have another tech card that conflicts with Impulse, you probably just use it immediately.
Okay.
It's a lot. You play into talents, but for almost every deck, you need to get the engine on the field as soon as possible. Otherwise, they'll potentially be able to out it. Big main one is against Pearly. They can make Beauty. Like once you summon Engine, their first summon after it's been summoned would be Beauty, and then when you trigger Engine, they just negate it. So a lot of the time, you have to do it pretty early. For the spells, I played 3 Emergency, 1 HQ, 1 Alert, 1 Rescue, 1 Extinguish, and 1 Contain. You have to play all of these. You need all of them for the grind. I also almost never take any of them out. The only one of these cards I ever take out sometimes is HQ. HQ's effect to shuffle back also comes up a lot. I definitely think you have to play it. And for other non-engine, but like also engine, 3 Prosperity, a 1-for-1 in a Rhoda. You have to play all these cards, deck bricks sometimes. I also really liked Prosperity because some of the non-engine cards I get to, I wanted to make sure that I had a certain number of cards to hit off Prosperity that did something, which is 3 Imperm, 2 Book. I really like having 5 of these type of cards that I can hit off of Prosperity, so I thought that was pretty important. And then for hand traps, another non-engine, I played 3 Crow, 3 Ash, 2 Fenrir. Crow was pretty good. I expected a lot of tier. I played against 1. It's also good versus Unchained on the Blue Dog and Pearly against Lily. And then I only played 2 Fenrir because I wasn't really sure which between Fenrir or Book I wanted to play more of. You can use both of them like defensively and offensively. You can use them to help play through hand traps on your turn potentially, but I wasn't sure which one I liked better, so I just played 2 of each.
You think you'd change any of the tech slots moving into the AGOV format?
There's a good chance that I get rid of Book of Moon. I might play Book of Eclipse going forward instead. I mean, it's hard to say. You have less tech slots with the new Sinful Spoils cards.
True.
But I like Book of Eclipse because against Race, a well-timed Book of Eclipse, when there's more RESCUE-ACE in the format, you can turn off all the trap cards that they have set with Eclipse, whereas Book of Moon is only going to book 1, and they're going to have 2 to 3 monsters. Like, it's also just, Book of Eclipse is also just better against tier because then you can make sure that you turn off all the traps. So I definitely consider playing Eclipse, but Book of Moon was pretty good this weekend.
Nice.
So we'll go straight to the extra deck.
Now, I know you play a choice side deck here that not everybody would agree with.
Yeah, for my extra deck, I play the Firewall package. I play Terahertz,
Yep.
Firewall, Protect, Repro, Decoder, Cerebro, Dave's Worm, and Aggregator.
That's a lot of slots.
Yeah, so this takes up a lot of slots, but I kind of think it's the best number of interruptions. Ibly can end the game potentially, whereas this is only like making spell and trap negates. But my problem with Ibly Lock was I was worried people would be prepared for it with Lingry, but I was also worried that I would play a lot of Flu, because then they just play anyway. They don't care about the Ibly at all. So I was pretty happy playing the Terahertz package, especially for a regional where you play a lot of rogue decks. So just having like the spell trap negate and like the pseudo hot red off aggregator, I feel is really good. It's also really good going second.
It's probably the strongest protection for your back row out of all the options.
Yeah, currently available, I definitely think so. So I was pretty happy with it overall still. I don't think I would have played Ibly instead.
What about with the new spoiled?
I like these cards still.
Still, eh?
Yeah, they're pretty good. The Baron version takes bricks, but I'll have to test it more. And I played for generic link stuff, access code,
good
Apo. Yeah, Unicorn, IP, Phoenix, Heat Leo, and Wolf. The notable ones that I'm not playing would be the Charmers and Anima. I just don't think you need any of the Charmers when you have the Firewall package. It climbs just as well going second, so it's super fine. So I probably wouldn't change anything to my extra deck right now. Obviously, we get Little Knight after Age of Overlord, but for now, I thought this extra deck was perfectly fine. And then finally for the side deck, I played 3 Nib, 3 Retaliating Sea, 3 Droll. So for hand traps, I found that I really wanted outs to like full combo decks. A lot of like mid-range decks, or even like Unchained's a little more combo than mid-range, but even like against a deck like Unchained, I didn't feel like I needed too many like blowout hand traps. But I was really worried about playing stuff like Mendimium, where I definitely need cards like Droll and Nib. And then Droll is also really good versus Tyr and Flu, so I was pretty happy with that. Nib is also good in the mirror. I did play a mirror, I lost it though, and Nib was dead in my hand.
Would you say that's probably the hardest matchup for the deck is itself, or is there anything you were really worried about for the day?
I would say like Tyr probably has the best chance of breaking my end board, and I didn't play Dweller, but I did play 1 Tyr, and I didn't have too much of a hard time. Going second, I'm not sure. Everything's pretty equal, but when I go first, Tyr is definitely the scariest matchup to be playing into my board. And then the Retaliating Seas are for Pearly and Chimera / Branded. So these have been pretty good. There's a lot of Chimera around, especially at regionals, so I was really happy with playing Retaliating Sea still. And then I played 3 Econ. This is just for Unchained. It's my tech of choice against Unchained. Even when I'm siding out, I only normally side in like 1 Nib. Econ's just better, and I like the generic hand traps a little bit more than the Nibs in the main deck, so I only have like 4 cards to take out, so I just put in the 3 Econs and the 1 Nib. I was pretty happy with that.
After you've used your Airlifter, it's kind of just redundant at the field. It's just link material at that point, right?
Yeah, there's also cards like Fenrir that I would keep in versus Unchained, and then that's more cards that I can tribute to apply pressure after they've gotten some value.
They have to immediately respond to the Fenrir.
Yeah, and a lot of times they won't because they know I'm not playing Kashtira. I mean, no one really is now. But once they know I'm not playing Kashtira, they don't really want to pop it on summon, and then I can easily convert it. I can even Econ, and then I can summon the other one if I want, which is pretty good. And then the last side deck cards I played were 2 Lightning Storm and a Feather Duster. I just feel like you always need to enter pretty much any event you attend with back row removal. I never sided in the Lightning Storms. I put the Feather Duster in a couple times just as like an extra side in. So I did play Flu. I just didn't see them. So, yeah.
Anything in the extra deck or side deck you change moving forward?
I don't know if I'll play Nib going forward. There's not too many full combo decks. I just find like I don't put it in a lot of the time. Most of the time I'm a lot happier keeping in the hand traps that are kind of more guaranteed to do something, like Imperm, Crow, and Ash. So like the only matchup I really can think of right now that I want to be putting it in versus Mendimium, maybe the Mirror, but really just Mendimium, and there's just not that much of it. Yeah, I feel like that's probably it.
Yeah, makes sense to me. Would you be able to show us a quick terahertz combo?
Yes, I can show the 1-card terahertz combo.
Beautiful.
So there's like other ways to get to this combo with 2 cards, but the 1-card combo is just going to be Airlifter.
And maybe some choke points for the people who need to interact with you.
Sure. So normal summon Airlifter. Obviously this is from 1 card, but if you're playing against this deck, don't Imperm the Airlifter. If they already have what they were going to search, you just lose immediately pretty much. But so Airlifter is going to search Emergency, then you activate Emergency. This is what you should be ashing at least right now. It becomes a little more like of a gray area post Age of Overlord with the Sinful cards, but right now you definitely want to be ashing Emergency. Will make some hands pass. So we're going to go into Hydrant with Emergency, send the Airlifter. Then we're going to activate Hydrant's effect, grab Turbulence. Activate Turbulence in hand. Activate Turbulence on field.
This is the Imperm slot.
Yes, you definitely want to hold your hand traps for Turbulence when you can.
Yeah.
So from the 1-card combo, you can set Rescue to play around Nib more because we're only playing with 1 card. But normally you have a lot of other cards to play with, so I almost always set these for. Emergency is a lot better than Rescue if you have to choose between which one to have on the opponent's turn, which I'll show later in the combo. But then just Alert, grab Preventer, You can use one of the cards, the turn it was set, because you control hydrant.
Yep.
And you can link off hydrant
Important to
for link Kribo, preventer effect, banishing hydrant. Turn the 2 into repro, preventer triggers to special back the hydrant. We're going to make it Cyberse with repro's effect. And then we can link it into link decoder, make protect code talker, trigger decoder to special summon itself back. And then we can turn protect and turbulence into firewall dragon. And then we can use protect by banishing total link 3 rating to special back. And then here the firewall can add back the preventer. You can add back other things, but the firewall add back is definitely the preventer is definitely the best target, because then you can send it off emergency on the following turn, which is why I like to set emergency over rescue. And then we link all of these into Terahertz. Terahertz can send the spell trap negate, and then on the opponent's turn you can send aggregator, which is kind of like hot red. It can negate a face-up card in the field, so that's pretty good. Then you have both traps, and then when you use emergency, you're going to summon a preventer from deck. Not quite sure where the other one's gone. Send the one from hand, and then the one engraved triggers summon back Airlifter, and you can also trigger Airlifter and grab more follow-up for the pass back. Probably just be emergency. Sometimes it's almost always just HQ or emergency. HQ helps you put the traps back, or emergency is obviously a guaranteed engine for the following turns. 5 interruptions off 1 card.
Yeah, that's pretty wild.
Yes, definitely pretty good.
Beautiful. Thank you very much, Nigel. Congrats again on top 3 at the regional. And see ya.